The Death of Marmion, The Battle of the Baltic, The Bay of Biscay, Nelson, under various vocal aspects, as exhibited by the late Braham. These were the songs in which the roaring concertina and strident tenor of Gustus Junior exulted together. "Tell me when you're tired, ladies and gentlemen," said the minstrel solicitor. "There's no conceit about me. Will you have a little sentiment by way of variety? Shall I wind up with 'The Mistletoe Bough' and 'Poor Mary Ann'?" Having favoured his audience with those two cheerful melodies, young Pedgift respectfully requested the rest of the company to follow his vocal example in turn, offering, in every case, to play a running accompaniment impromptu, if the singer would only be so obliging as to favour him with the key note. "Go on, somebody!" cried Mrs. Pentecost eagerly. "I tell you again, I dote on music. We haven't had half enough yet, have we, Sammy?" The Reverend Samuel made no reply. The unhappy man had reasons of his own, not exactly in his bosom, but a little lower, for remaining silent in the midst of the general hilarity and the general applause. Alas for humanity! Even maternal love is alloyed with mortal fallibility. Owing much already to his excellent mother, the Reverend Samuel was now additionally indebted to her for a smart indigestion. Nobody, however, noticed as yet the signs and tokens of internal revolution in the curate's face. Everybody was occupied in entreating everybody else to sing. Miss Milroy appealed to the founder of the feast. "Do sing something, Mr. Armadale," she said. "I should so like to hear you." "If you once begin, sir," added the cheerful Pedgift, "you'll find it get uncommonly easy as you go on. Music is a science which requires to be taken by the throat at starting." "With all my heart," said Allan, in his good humoured way. "I know lots of tunes, but the worst of it is, the words escape me. I wonder if I can remember one of Moore's melodies. My poor mother used to be fond of teaching me Moore's melodies when I was a boy." "Whose melodies?" asked Mrs. Pentecost. "Moore's? Aha! I know Tom Moore by heart." "Perhaps in that case you will be good enough to help me, ma'am, if my memory breaks down," rejoined Allan. "I'll take the easiest melody in the whole collection, if you'll allow me. Everybody knows it. Eveleen's Bower. I'm familiar in a general sort of way with the national melodies of England, Scotland, and Ireland," said Pedgift Junior. "I'll accompany you, sir, with the greatest pleasure. This is the sort of thing, I think." He seated himself cross-legged on the roof of the cabin, and burst into a complicated musical improvisation wonderful to hear, a mixture of instrumental flourishes and groans, a jig corrected by a dirge, and a dirge enlivened by a jig. "That's the sort of thing," said young Pedgift, with his smile of supreme confidence. "Fire away, sir." Mrs. Pentecost elevated her trumpet, and Allan elevated his voice. "Oh, weep for the hour when to Evelyn's bower..." He stopped. The accompaniment stopped. The audience waited. "It's a most extraordinary thing," said Allan. "I thought I had the next line on the tip of my tongue, and it seems to have escaped me. I'll begin again, if you have no objection. Oh, weep for the hour when to Evelyn's bower..." "The Lord of the Valley with false vows came," said Mrs. Pentecost. "Thank you, ma'am," said Allan. "Now I shall get on smoothly. Oh, weep for the hour when to Evelyn's bower the Lord of the Valley with false vows came. The moon was shining bright..." "No!" said Mrs. Pentecost. "I beg your pardon, ma'am," remonstrated Allan. "The moon was shining bright..." "The moon wasn't doing anything of the kind," said Mrs. Pentecost. Pedgift Junior, foreseeing a dispute, persevered sotto voce with the accompaniment in the interests of harmony. "Moore's own words, ma'am," said Allan, "in my mother's copy of melodies." "Your mother's copy was wrong," retorted Mrs. Pentecost. "Didn't I tell you just now that I knew Tom Moore by heart?" Pedgift Junior's peacemaking concertina still flourished and groaned in the minor key. "Well, what did the moon do?" asked Allan, in despair. "What the moon ought to have done, sir, or Tom Moore wouldn't have written it so," rejoined Mrs. Pentecost. "The moon hid her light from the heaven that night, and wept behind her clouds o'er the maiden's shame. I wish that young man would leave off playing," added Mrs. Pentecost, venting her rising irritation on Gustus Junior. "I've had enough of him. He tickles my ears." "Proud, I'm sure, ma'am," said the unblushing Pedgift. "The whole science of music consists in tickling the ears." "We seem to be drifting into a sort of argument," remarked Major Milroy, placidly. "Wouldn't it be better if Mr. Armadale went on with his song?" "Do go on, Mr. Armadale," added the major's daughter. "Do go on, Mr. Pedgift." "One of them doesn't know the words, and the other doesn't know the music," said Mrs. Pentecost. "Let them go on if they can." "Sorry to disappoint you, ma'am," said Pedgift Junior. "I'm ready to go on myself to any extent. Now, Mr. Armadale." Allan opened his lips to take up the unfinished melody where he had last left it. Before he could utter a note, the curate suddenly rose with a ghastly face, and a hand pressed convulsively over the middle region of his waistcoat. "What's the matter?" cried the whole boating party in chorus. "I am exceedingly unwell," said the Reverend Samuel Pentecost. The boat was instantly in a state of confusion. Eveleen's bower expired on Allan's lips, and even the irrepressible concertina of Pedgift was silenced at last. The alarm proved to be quite needless. Mrs. Pentecost's son possessed a mother, and that mother had a bag. In 2 seconds the art of medicine occupied the place left vacant in the attention of the company by the art of music. "Rub it gently, Sammy," said Mrs. Pentecost. "I'll get out the bottles and give you a dose. It's his poor stomach, Major. Hold my trumpet, somebody, and stop the boat. You take that bottle, Neelie, my dear, and you take this one, Mr. Armadale, and give them to me as I want them. Ah, poor dear, I know what's the matter with him. Want of power here, Major. Cold, acid, and flabby. Ginger to warm him, soda to correct him, sal volatile to hold him up. There, Sammy, drink it before it settles, and then go and lie down, my dear, in that dog kennel of a place they call the cabin. No more music," added Mrs. Pentecost, shaking her forefinger at the proprietor of the concertina, "unless it's a hymn, and that I don't object to." Nobody appearing to be in a fit frame of mind for singing a hymn, the all accomplished Pedgift drew up on his store of local knowledge, and produced a new idea. The course of the boat was immediately changed under his direction. In a few minutes more the company found themselves in a little island creek, with a lonely cottage at the far end of it, and a perfect forest of reeds closing the view all round them. "What do you say, ladies and gentlemen, to stepping on shore and seeing what a reed cutter's cottage looks like?" suggested young Pedgift. "We say yes, to be sure," answered Allan. "I think our spirits have been a little dashed by Mr. Pentecost's illness and Mrs. Pentecost's bag," he added, in a whisper to Miss Milroy. "A change of this sort is the very thing we want to set us all going again." He and young Pedgift handed Miss Milroy out of the boat. The major followed. Mrs. Pentecost sat immovable as the Egyptian Sphinx, with her bag on her knees, mounting guard over Sammy in the cabin. "We must keep the fun going, sir," said Allan, as he helped the major over the side of the boat. "We haven't half done yet with the enjoyment of the day." His voice seconded his hearty belief in his own prediction to such good purpose that even Mrs. Pentecost heard him, and ominously shook her head. "Ah," sighed the curate's mother, "if you were as old as I am, young gentleman, you wouldn't feel quite so sure of the enjoyment of the day." So, in rebuke of the rashness of youth, spoke the caution of age. The negative view is notoriously the safe view, all the world over, and the Pentecost philosophy is, as a necessary consequence, generally in the right. End of chapter 8.